Hello and welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the world you're joining us from. We're happy to have you. This is the very first edition of the PICHA Behind the Image series. My name is Sankara Yambo. I'm the Community Relations Lead at PICHA. And for those who don't know, PICHA is a stock photography platform that helps global brands and agencies tell authentic, inclusive stories through high quality Afrocentric imagery. So PICHA values ethical sourcing and creative integrity and upholds this by offering its contributors a 50-50 revenue share model. With me is our brother, Ogundele Ayorinde. Ayorinde is a multidisciplinary photographer based in Lagos, Nigeria. His work explores the often overlooked details of everyday life, examining the political, economic, and social forces that shape society. Working across documentary, fine art, conceptual, and portrait photography, he uses photography to broaden perspectives on the world. Aside from winning the first prize in the Wiki Loves Africa Photography competition in 2025, he is also a 2023 PICHA Grant recipient. Welcome, Ayorinde.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So awesome to have you, man. Yeah, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and with the weather, it has been kind of gloomy because the sun hasn't started its own shift since morning. So we are working with what we have.
Well, I hear you, brother. You know, we're sun people. And when we don't get the sun, we can be a bit gloomy. But hopefully things will lighten up in a bit.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So today we're here to talk about this amazing series of images, all work and no play. And I have a lot of questions about the session, but first of all, maybe you can just give me like a brief introduction into what this project was all about.
Yeah, Over Canoply is actually my first photography project, the first body of work that I did. And I wanted to explore the lives of students in an academic environment when they are given opportunity to do something outside academics in an academic environment, because the educational system here in Nigeria is very like it's all about discipline. Nigerians are particular about education. So
I know this.
if you if you grow up in Nigeria, the friendliness you have with your teacher, everything stops at primary school. From secondary school, you have to be serious about everything. That's when your parents start being particular about your result and everything. When you get to the university, the lecturers are like mini god in the classroom. You know, they have all the power in the classroom. Everybody has to stay put. Everybody has to be on their best behavior. But in the university stay is where these students have the opportunity to change the trajectory of their own lives, in as much as they are there to study a particular course or a particular discipline. They still have the opportunity to like change the path of what they take. That's why you have a situation where some people might drop out. But being a father, everything is about academics. They have some opportunities that might come into place where my favor the student apart from academics. So when I was in school and I heard that they were doing this thing, they have been doing it for years, but it was my first time experiencing it. So it
Mm,
was called All Week. Like different all of
mm-hmm.
residents, like the hostel and dormitories. They have they are given 1 week to celebrate and do their games because they have their all masters and the likes. So the ESCOs within this all will organize an event and they will in sponsors for this event. So
Mhm.
whatever they do ranges from academics to like fun activities. So I wanted to show people what it's like when people have the opportunity to do something different from the environment that demands something else, which is academics, doing something fun from the different from the environment that demands academics. So if you look go through the images, you will see that they have that eagerness to get involved with the activities that I'm holding because it's not every day you get the opportunity um, to be yourself in that academic environment. So that's what work is all about.
Yeah, the images are very powerful. Like when I look at them, I just see like there's so much energy. And you say this is like the first time you attended this event. So did you just happen to have your camera, or did you plan ahead and think, okay, this is something I'm going to shoot, or was it just like a happy coincidence?
I'm actually before the time the year I shot this project, not long ago I just got my camera. So you know that feeling of a photographer getting a camera for the first time, the first ever camera, they want to shoot everything. They want to shoot a butterfly, they want to shoot a car tire, they want to shoot the stars. No, because along the line, that's when you start learning the techniques of a camera, you
Yeah.
know, the technical aspect, then you find your niche along the line. But I
Mm.
think that was what happened during that time. I had that hunger, but I was leaning more and more towards documentary photography. So when I heard there was going to be this event in the hostel and the the students they were in the same room with me, they were talking about their experiences from from the past editions. So I was engaged and I'm like, okay, I would like to see these things unfold. And so it'll be better if I have my camera to document these things. You understand? Because nobody really puts attention on this student. They just expect you to just go there and do what you have to do and come back. But this is a whole new perspective. And what's it, what is even more better if you're taking their pictures from a documentary point of view where you are particular about the subject. You know, it's not like you're trying to denigrate your subject. You know, you actually respect your subject. You're just capturing the moment as it unfolds. So that was all about the moment at that time. I just want to capture everything, and I'm glad that I did um, the job the way it came out, and I was glad about the result.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm also kind of in that journey. I got a camera recently, so I understand exactly what you mean about wanting to shoot everything. There's definitely a lot of hype there. But like there's always like a bit of anxiety when you have to shoot people. And I don't know how did the people like respond to you capturing it? Were there many other photographers? Was it just you?
Well, for the organizers, they were supposed to like have their own photographers on ground. But they were just focused about the event and the sponsors getting their own um, fair share of their own fair share of what they came there for, meaning engaging with the students. So at some point I'll see some photographers, some point I'll not see anybody. But me, I was in out of my own free will. So once in a
Mm.
while they came to me and they tell me, "Oh, we'd like to have some pictures if you don't mind." So I said, "Okay, no problem." Sometimes they won't bother, but when they see somebody shooting, some people don't really know where fall into. Am I doing it on behalf of the escorts in the hostel, or am I doing it for myself? But nevertheless, it's I think for a lot of people it's a thing of privilege when they see somebody documenting their just everyday life in a professional manner. You get
Yeah.
so because they don't really get that attention. It's a thing of privilege when I see with the camera. But along the line, I learned how to approach my subjects, when I shoot so that they don't feel uncomfortable and they get that belief that okay, this image is not gonna like put me in a bad light. So everything was a learning process along the way, and I was starting to learn how to like approach random people and let them know I'm shooting them.
Okay, okay. A lot of photographers when they go out to shoot, let's say, like you said, you can be a bit trigger happy.
Yeah.
And for this series, at the end of the day, I think you sent me about 13 images, which I think you were happiest about, which you thought represented the event. Um, how many images did you shoot in total? Do you remember for this
You,
event?
you know the funny thing is,
Uh-huh.
because when I was shooting this event, I was a novice, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
being a novice, you don't really know um too much about the profession, like the professional aspect of the profession. So what happened was I was using a laptop that was not very, very well equipped. There's not enough space. So what I did was, which I still regret it today, was I edited the ones that I find better and I deleted the rest because I needed space.
Ooh.
You get what I'm saying? So I did it
Mm.
because I needed space on the laptop, and I was just coming over. I didn't know much. So because if I don't have space on the laptop, then it affects its functionality. The laptop will not
Mm.
operate. I cannot open Photoshop. You get so I just did what I could at that moment and make sure that I stored the images somewhere. But it's pitiful because most times you do have some images stored somewhere that you can always go and revisit. But for this, I just did what I could.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
painful. That's painful to hear. Which begs the question. Okay, so how did you decide which images stayed and which ones went? What was your criteria?
Uh, well, the most important thing is candid images. The images that don't feel fake. Like when you look at it, you can tell about you can see the truthfulness in it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're shooting, especially when you're shooting an event, you just keep pressing the shutter because you want to capture the images. If you shoot some 10 images within like 4 seconds, you
Mm-hmm.
still have to pick one.
Yeah.
So you are going through the 10 images and you see the one that looks more realistic the most. So when you're going through all those things, you just pick one. Sometimes, and that was then, that was then when I was learning. I
Yeah.
was new to it. So I might shoot like 10 images and say, okay, I must have gotten one that is better. But now I'll shoot like 100 images. I'll just say, like, okay, I've gotten one that is, that is better. So I think that's the growth that has occurred over the years. And
Yeah.
and when I look at something that is unique, because if you look at
Mm-hmm.
some of the images, you see some young female student, and female students were not really allowed in the hostel. So it just when they relaxed during this event, they relaxed the rules for a while. You
Mm.
understand? So those kind of things that could tell the story of how unique the event was. So I go through the selections and those things that tell the story itself before you can say anything. So that's my criteria for telling the story.
Yeah. Um, I noticed that you decided to go with black and white for these images.
Yeah.
What was your thought process? How did you end up deciding this? And as you think about that, maybe you can also let us know like what you thought about when it came to um the editing in general. What were your thoughts? What did you want to capture? How did you want things this to look like?
Um, Making it black and white was not a difficult decision because uh, along the line when you editing, the pictures will tell you what will be the end goal at the end of the day.
Mm.
So, and when I love seeing pictures from archives, especially pictures from the 80s and the 70s. So there's no better way to tell the story than to be in black and white. If you look at all the images, you can tell. Some people might just feel it's from the 80s or from the
I
70s,
know. I
you know.
know.
So he's already doing the job. The black and white editing is already doing the job. He does not fully need to do that much. And for the editing, a lot of people think black and white is just straightforward, just slap the effect on it and go about your day. But I don't think that's where it ends, because you have to do with the contrast and the brightness. If it's too
Mm,
dark, people can't see enough. If it's too bright, then there are a lot of elements that are taking the attention from the image. And in Photoshop, the Photoshop allows you to like tweak how thick different colors are going to be. You can move with the red, so any red will be like more thicker, or the white or the green and everything. So you have to make sure that the colors are not conflicting with each other. In
mm,
as much as you want people to see it like the way it's supposed to be, you have to make sure that not everything is too dark, not everything is too bright. So
I-
during this process, you have to go and look at everything. Okay, make sure that is the final images is telling the real story.
okay. I think these images are really good, honestly. For you to say that you are a novice, I guess you just have that eye from the start. Um, and that's probably why you got the camera in the first place. But the question I have for you is, were you also surprised with the outcome when you looked at the images after, as you took them? Let's say when you're editing and you're looking at the work, were you like, oh my, this is really good? Or
Yeah,
were you just like, okay, this isn't what I was expecting?
well, I was, to be very honest, I was very, very happy with the outcome. And
Mm,
because I was happy with the outcome, I wanted to shoot more. And I don't know if my father is there, because he said he had registered, but I was skipping classes. So,
I hope he's not.
so because everything was just affording for my eyes. So it's more like the canvas is already there, you just have to paint. And
Mm,
every time I shoot and I transfer to my laptop and I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good. Oh, this good. And some of my roommates look at it and be like, oh, this is good, this is good. Oh, I like the guy. Oh, I know that guy. Those kind of things. And it's something it's like a source of pride for me, because I had only two lens at that moment. I
mm,
had the kit lens that came with the camera, and the 50 lens. So I use 50 for if I want to single out a
yeah.
particular subject, and I use the kit lens for like broader and group photos.
Mm. So were you just switching them as you go about the
Yeah, I
shoot?
was switching it. I had one lens in the pocket because both lenses are not that big. So one
Yeah.
could yeah, either one could easily fit in my pocket. So I could just switch.
Which one of these images was the most? Would you say was the most meaningful for you in this series?
Uh, I think it's the one with the tire, like not the tire, the one lifting the weights. Yeah, this
This,
one.
this
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because it's it's more or less like can lead to like self reflection. I called
Mm.
it triumph amidst the crowd. That was what I call it. And
Yeah.
because everybody everybody seems to be like cheering, but at the end of the day, you came out on top. You understand? And
Yeah.
this was during what they called Mr. Macho contest, where we have some participants and they pull some weights, and then there's some even push cars. You understand?
Oh,
For a
yeah.
distance, just like the one that was doing push-ups. You know,
Yeah.
there was space was closer to the ground, so this was part of the contest that he did. So when I shot it, I had to like climb. those guys around the verandas. I was there. That was where I shot this particular scene, and it was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely see like just the excitement in all these images. And yeah, it really embodies the whole idea of all work and no play, as you explained it to me. Um, what would you say, like this, just shooting this project, like what do you think like you learned as a photographer, something that stuck with you up till this day, something that you can just like say from this shoot, when I did this shoot, there's something that stuck with you. What would you say that is?
Yeah. When you look at photography, especially when everybody needs exposure, and when you have your apps like Instagram, that they want people to become content creators just so they can get the attention that they believe they
Yeah.
deserve. I don't think it's helpful in a way or ethical to the profession, because when I was shooting this project and when I saw everything, I was glad because it's like a body of work that represents a proper documentation. You know,
Mm-hmm.
thing to go viral online. I'm shooting more or less for acknowledgement, for something like going into the archives. You get.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when I shot this project, I was very proud of myself because when I look at it, if I see this work from somebody else, it's something I really, really respect. And this is not me just blame my drop it. It's something that I really, really admire. It's my first work, and this was just something that started out for me. And I, if you notice, a lot of people now that shoot, they might shoot document, they might want to shoot the same thing. They might want to shoot it, most of them in portrait mode, just so you can fit into Instagram format, and that's really sad. If you look at this project, most of them looks as if it was someone shot to it on film. You understand? So in a way, it shows that it's something that maybe somebody who's a photographer like um 40 years ago might say admire, or people if you come across this image from an archive, you say admire it. So it's just something that made me really, really proud to be a photographer at that moment.
You're right. These images are timeless. And they definitely capture this event well. You say you didn't this I know your mind was like, okay, this is work that belongs in an archive.
Yeah.
So is that to say that you've never shared this work on social media?
No, I have actually. I've got some features on the work, and I have it was this work that got me into the Canon Student Development Program that I became
Mm.
an alumni. There was this work I presented, and the photographers there wanted more. They are my assigned mentors. Um, there's one I had two mentors. One from Dan Baliti, he's an Israeli photographer, was shooting the tension between Israeli and the Palestinians. And we were having three sessions, and he was just telling me like, "Oh, check. There was more photograph. You have to check, pull out the hard drive, look at everything." And that time it was like too late, so I was just looking for images that that are similar that I've shot in school. And when
Mm.
I had the second session with Ada Molone, the Ethiopian photographer, she said she loved my work. Then if she would recommend, because it was in stages, she will recommend me to go through. Like it was up to her, and then the work was phenomenal. And I was glad to hear this was from those veteran photographers. So this is something that makes me really, really proud.
Yeah, and you should be, brother. You should be. This is good work. As much as like the work is really good. It speaks for itself and it's impressive. I guess to me, to the audience, and to you as well. But question is there anything that you might do differently if you went back, aside from not deleting the images from your laptop? Is there, is there anything you would do differently about this shoot?
I think we cannot skip the fact that I'm not deleting images because it's still up to now. And for me, I think I'll shoot a lot more. I will probably have more like 1,500 images
Mm,
um, compared to what I shot then. I think back then I shot probably like 200 or 300. But
mm,
if I'm to shoot now, I'll shoot probably 1,000 or 2,000 because I did more like a sequel to the project
mhm,
because this was in 2019. So the following year was COVID. So the event did not occur. And the following year, they could not really like allow the student because we are still recovering from COVID and the school is looking for ways to move on while observing the guidelines. So it was a year, like maybe 3 years later, that was when they were allowed to um to have the event, to host the event again. And that one I called it Diary for the Boys. So
mhm.
that is not particularly about the event, although some images from the old work was from the next edition. But
Yeah,
that diary for the boys was like everyday hostel life, what the boys face, the challenges and so on. So that was what diary is on my website. People can go and look for
yeah.
it. It was called Diary for the Boys. And it was fascinating because I went from the students being happy for an event to now you can see different aspects of the everyday life of the student. Sometimes I showed the people also in the hostel, the barbers and the guys who sold things, and I showed some of the see different situation when we were coming back from COVID. Some of them were sick, and they like you see somebody wrapped with a blanket because we coincide with the Harmattan period, so everyone was cold. So with
Mm,
some people had respiratory issues, and I showed some people are reading an everyday routine. Sometimes they were no there were not enough water, so people had to queue with their buckets. So everything was unfolding in that project, and I was glad that this project came to pass.
hey, Ayorinde, um, not sure if I've lost you. Hey guys, I think we may have a little bit of a technical issue. Um, but I have shared, as we wait for Arinda to get back, we have shared his website in the chat. Um, if you have a moment, kindly just go on there and you can let us know in the chat like which area do you think Arinda is strongest on? Is it portrait photography? Is it food? Is it landscape? Obviously, I will say events, given this collection of images. But he also does wildlife photography. So take a quick look and let us know which one of his genres you think he is strongest in. Irinda actually asked that we get feedback on this for him personally because he's always looking to grow and discover. Um, I see SE says cityscapes. That's what you've seen most. Tosin Ejioye. I hope I said that right. Apologies if I butchered it. Irinde, sorry, we lost you for for a bit.
Okay.
Are you back?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I was just telling the our audience that we've shared your website on the chat, and I remember you had asked me to get feedback on what which genre the audience thinks is your strongest one, and I was just reading some of the responses. I see SE says cityscapes. Also says black and white style was a good choice. These are great images. Tosin Ejioye says food and they're laughing. I don't know if there's
Actually,
something, if there's like an inside joke there, but he thinks you're good at food photography. I'll also look at some of the messages in the chat. Essie says, hey, Sankara and Ayorinde, looking forward to the discussion. Thank you. Toyin Ogundele says there's so much stories in his art. That's, yeah, I agree. Um, Tosin once again here just saying wow, and he says, or they say they can resonate with these images. Kashida says he can see so much color in these black and white shots. He's holding his breath. He's in awe of the work. Um, then here once again we have Tosin saying there's a lot of originality in the work. Keshida saying, love that, shooting for the pure art of it, the moment rather than the likes. Yeah, which I agree. Um, I think those are all the comments we have for now. Um, where were we before we left? Um, I could go on to ask, given this shoot and considering that you're multidisciplined, you shoot different styles. But how would you say like this particular project kind of influenced the direction that you felt that you wanted to go?
well, you know what to say. Jack of all trades is a master of none, but
Mm-hmm.
often better than a master of one.
One.
So um, I actually really wanted to explore photography in itself. I didn't want to be confined to a particular niche. So, but deep down in my heart, I know documentary photography is, for me, is like the greatest because you, when you look at the images, you can evoke some sort of emotions that people can feel and feel connected to the images. But I chose to diversify because I believe that there are other ways I can tell the story, and it's not secluded to only documentary photography. Because I have a lot of interest in everything around me. So when I shoot portrait, I help people feel better about themselves. When I
Mm,
shoot food, I help people market what they're selling. Because and when you shoot these different niches, you begin to learn a lot because when you're shooting food, you acknowledge that the eyes eat the food before the nose even perceive it. You understand? Then before you go to the mouth and you start eating. So you have to make it palatable when you look at it.
that's
And
true.
along the line you go into things like the angles, the lighting and all those kind of things. Then when you shoot in landscape, you're telling a story that is more broad. That I like shooting cityscapes because um it shows how big and how huge a lot of things are unfolding at the same time. So, and when I shoot wildlife, wildlife is I'll say my second love, because when I started without a camera, I was using my phone. I was shooting a lot of wildlife in my backyard. So I was shooting some moths, butterflies, millipedes, and the likes. So
Mm,
that part of me has never left. So I keep shooting and shooting. And though I remember one time my sister wanted to recommend me for a job, and there was nothing really to show them as my portfolio. And they had to ask if I shoot human beings. You know,
uh, you only
yeah.
had wildlife
So
in your portfolio at the time.
yeah, yeah. So it's nice. And when I was shooting event photography, I was working with a restaurant, and I was helping them put better images on their page.
Mm,
And you really want to, because the idea was to shoot people having fun in the restaurant. It's help people tell stories about the hospitality that the restaurant offers. So when you're shooting images like that, people are having good fun. and they have good images of themselves, a lot of people want to come. So maybe hopefully they can have something similar. You get so when you are shooting different niches, you learn because everything does not take the same approach. That's why you see photography is very, very, very broad. So you have to be it's a learning process.
Yeah, I agree because I feel like photography is art, and what at the heart of it, like you just still have to have like that spirit of discovery. So you get pulled in different ways. Even if you do end up finding yourself in a certain niche, you always end up wanting to try new things to see how they make you feel, and whether you can discover something new about what it is you're shooting and yourself as well.
Yeah.
I see Habibulai says it's nice to be here. Welcome, Habibulai. You know happy to have you here as well. um Essie says that's a nice story about your portfolio, and goes on to ask, do you now use different ones, or do you put all the genres in one portfolio to showcase your range?
For me, no, no, no. What I on my website there are different ranges. You get, but
Mm-hmm.
the one I use on Instagram, I have two pages on Instagram. One is for portraits, and one is for documentary photography. So
Mm.
that is what I do. But on my website, you see the full range of images, and the everything is labeled there on the content, so you can just um go through whatever one you really want to see.
Okay, that's good. I have a few more questions for you, but I see we have Tosin saying his perspective of wildlife is very beautiful and unique. Do you mean wildlife or just wildlife? It's very beautiful and unique. So beautiful that you don't know when you will have a set of ants or chicken on your wall because they're beautifully taken.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my sister actually. She,
Ah,
yeah, she went through it, because she sometimes my siblings when I was shooting, they wonder like, won't you take us pictures? Why, like, are we not that important that you're taking ants and butterflies? Like, why don't you take us pictures? So they witnessed everything, and sometimes when I show them the images, and they be like, "Oh, this is nice, but take us to." You understand? So that was the situation with them, and they saw everything unfold.
big up, Tosin. It's nice to have you here. Siblings, supporting siblings is such a big deal, especially in the creative industry. We appreciate you being here for Ayorinde. Um, Ayorinde, I want to ask, what advice would you give someone who is trying to, do something similar? What, yeah, what pointers would you have for them?
However, it depends. If you're doing something similar in terms of documentary, you know, the documentary image is just like a musician. You sing a lot of songs, but you don't know which one will be your best hit. So, but it doesn't stop the musician from creating music. You
Mm,
get so you keep on shooting, you keep on creating, and all those things. It's different from when you work with an agency like photojournalist agency that they demand images and they send you on assignment. It's different. But if you when you're your own, you have to keep shooting. You have to keep telling stories. So when you say outlets or open calls that fits your niche, you apply for grants, you apply for competitions, you showcase your work. Maybe you can get featured on a magazine. But the most important thing is that you should not stop shooting. And for documentary photography, unless you're working with an agency or a
Ayorinde, you've frozen. We've lost you once again, brother. I'll go back to the comments. I see your namesake here. Ogundele Henry says, Nice one. Keep it up. Thank you, Henry.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Yeah. So as I was saying, if you because photojournalism or being a document photographer does not give that pay. It's not like a kind of pay that you expect every month. So
Mm,
sometimes it's just like when you are lucky and you win a competition and you get the prize money. You get what I'm saying? So
mm-hmm,
if you can blend your everyday 9 to 5 or some other jobs that you have, you raise some money to fund your photography. That is for your hobby or your passion. That would be
mm-hmm.
better.
Yeah.
Or if you shoot other niches that like weddings or portraits that can keep you afloat, then that is better. But if you're doing documentary photography, you have to understand that there's a lot to learn. Because if you're going out there to shoot people, there are some people that don't want to be on camera. You know, you have to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially all these uniform men, they don't
Yeah.
like to be on camera because they don't know what article you are going to write about it.
Yeah.
So unless you have to learn how to approach people and let them know that, oh, it's no big deal. I'm not trying to like defame you or whatever. So along the line you will learn on your own. Along the line some situation will teach you things. You get. So
Okay.
basically, and you have to learn the professional aspects in a sense that so that it's not come back to bite in the long run. There are some people that do you might have an idea and you feel like, oh, this is very good to shoot this thing, but you probably have some restraints. Maybe you don't have a model release of that person, so you cannot use that person's image. So you have to go
Mm-hmm.
back and look for the person, or if you're trying to orchestrate a particular idea, you have to acknowledge the fact that you have to budget, you have to scout
Mm-hmm.
for locations, you have to sketch, you have to look for models, and you have to reach out to the people that are within that vicinity you want to use. You get so along the line you will learn. That's when you understand that it is much bigger than you think. It's not just about pointing a camera, you know. You
Yeah.
learn, and that learning is what sets you apart. Because when you are doing the background work, it means that it shows that you understand your craft rather than you just shooting.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot to learn. But
So
every
basically,
just take
yeah.
everything.
Yeah. So, if I'm getting it correctly, it's just like there's a lot to learn, and basically you learn by doing. You just have to get in there and embrace the experience, and that's how you get better. That's how you get a project like this.
Yeah, yeah. Because me basically I'm a self-taught photographer. I
Hmm.
just bought a camera and I started shooting. You get so how I was when I was starting out is not how I am now. Because I remember I just one day I just took buses to a certain place and I started shooting. I was on a bridge, I was along the highway, I was carrying my camera and I was shooting. But now I will not really think of doing that because of even some people meet you, you know you have to be ready for potential questions. And some of them might not have the answers to it, but you have to try to navigate. You
Yeah.
get. So at that time I was like a novice, but I came out on top because of my naivety, because it worked for me. It was like a blessing in disguise,
Yeah.
indirectly. So right now that I know better, I'll be more structured and more
Mm.
careful.
Yeah. Okay. I hear this a lot where people say, there's a benefit in not knowing, the full extent of what you're going into, because that naivety sometimes works to your favor, and clearly it has worked in your favor. Um, I don't have very many questions. I just like before we close, I'm gonna read Guya's comment. Says, indeed, you learn by doing. Also, Ayorinde says along the lines, you will learn and situations will teach you. That learnings is what sets you apart. That's good. My final question would be, what's something that people might underestimate, in a project like this?
Well,
Aside
I think
from
my
memory capacity of the laptop.
well, there's a chance that people. I don't really think a lot of people that will underestimate much because I think there's one thing about showing the right people your work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was one time when I did this work and I put everything into a PDF so I can send it, in a concise pattern so that people can easily read it through, and I can send it for like open calls and competitions. I showed one of my friend. He told me like he doesn't really see. He's not an expert in my field. You get, but him telling me that he did not really see or get everything. It does not mean that it does not mean well for me. It's just that he, at that point in time, is not the right person to review the work. You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the most important thing is showing the right people.
Mm-hmm.
When you show the right people, they are going to acknowledge that the fact that they're going to acknowledge the fact that the work stands out, and they're going to say it. And when it comes to correcting you, they're going to say the right things. So a lot of people do these things, and they are too like particular about the wrong people saying the things. Just for example, if you put I did a video one time, and I think the video did well on Instagram, but I got different kind of comments. Some people praise the work, some people are complaining that, oh, you shouldn't show the bad side of the city. You understand? It's just like 1 second hey, that was part of the video, and you shouldn't show the bad side of the city or whatever, whatever, whatever. In as much as they have their own opinion and every opinion is valid, but you have to understand that what I'm documenting is the city. But most majority of the image did well, like telling good stories about the city. But if you ignore the bad side, even though it's just 1 or 2 second clip, then people might go there and might get the wrong idea and do not see what you've shown. But if you show them like 1 or 2 second clip of, okay, this city is nice, but it also has this aspect of it. So when people go there, they will know what to expect. They will understand that every city has a good and bad sides. So you have to be particular about which opinions you want to listen to. You know, you listen to experts, people that are more accomplished because they have the portfolio to back it up, and
Yeah.
people who really are not experts in your field. You have to understand that in as them not being expert is one of the reasons why they are saying what they say. You understand? It's not as if they hate you or something, but it's showing that okay, they are not experts in their field, and you cannot expect them to give you a more professional review of your work. So you have to be careful about who you are showing your work to. In as
Okay.
much because we have this eagerness that once we do something, irrespective of the profession, we want to show the nearest person that we know that "Oh, look at what I just did, look at this and look at that." And some of them might not be like it's no big deal. And sometimes it happens when you're too good because people now have a standard of you, where they expect you to be. So when you show them something big and better, they might not feel like, oh, it's something like out of the ordinary because they know you're capable.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? So you should not allow those things weigh you down, but you just need to know where to place certain review and certain opinion of your work.
Thank you. That's a good place to sort of end this session. Make sure that you understand who your audience is and try and get your work in front of the people who appreciate it most. Do not get down when some people do not see the vision that you had for the work. If those are my takeaways from what you just said, Irinde. Before we close off, Irinde, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little something about maybe any projects that you're working on. What are you doing at the moment? Is there anything that our viewers? Before you do that, let me read this comment from Habibulai. Says Gundele has always been someone I look up to. His work has played a huge role in shaping my passion for documentary photography. Being here with him is an honor. and it's a moment I will always cherish. Thank you, Habibullah Mohammed. That's a
I'm
very,
grateful.
very, yeah, nice comment.
I'm really, really grateful for the comment.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us as well. Thank you, everyone. Irinde, before we close off, what do you want to tell the audience? Are there any projects that you're working on that you'd like people to look at? I know we shared your website on the chat. Is there anything outside of that that you would like people to look at?
Yeah, I'm trying to expand, probably work more on videos and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully a short film. So I was working on a short film since last year, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still in process because I'm looking if I should add or remove some things. It's about the the things that shape Lagos, the chaos that actually shapes Lagos that I'm
Mm-hmm.
documenting. So it's just like people watching things unfold, but from a different perspective. So
Okay.
it's like everybody, each and everybody has a front row seat to see how Lagos unfolds.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm still working on it and I'm trying to round it up. And I'm leaning towards a little bit more of short films. Hopefully, I write the scripts. I will find people who can come and work with me on that. And for me, I'm trying to learn into more prints and framing so I can see my work in people's houses. People that value it, not just people go online and see your work, or people see your work in books, or when you get a picture. I like to see people want a piece of my work, and so that it's a different way of appreciating it when you see people having a frame of your work in their houses. And I'm looking into that, and I'm looking to other ventures. I'm trying to make an if I've created a firm for Afrocentric designs, and I'm working on that. I've been sketching, I've been working. That's what's really taking my time, and I'm working on other projects, and hopefully I'll work on one more project this before the year ends. That one is on spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm trying to be careful with that because it takes a lot of structure, budgeting places, and people you want to shoot and representation, so people don't get the wrong idea. So that's what I'm working on.
Thank you, thank you. I have seen some of the clips that you share on your social media, so looking forward to seeing this film of the chaos in Lagos. I'm looking forward to seeing Lagos from a different perspective. I've really enjoyed looking at Lagos from your point of view. So it'd be nice to see that film come out. Can we start talking about a date of release, or is it too early?
Yeah, I want you to be on pressure, put pressure on me. So, no, so well, I've compiled the videos and I've created sound. So it's just finishing touches on if there are other places for me to explore.
Okay.
You understand. And so I just want to make sure I don't leave anything out. I don't want people to have this kind of assumption that I did not complete the work.
Mm,
So so that's where I am now. So what I'm done, I'm just looking for I'm just because Lagos, in as much as it's small, it's still huge. I know on the map and in Nigeria, it's still huge, and there's some places that are particular that there are a lot of clusters, people that happen. So I want to document that. So, but I'm just trying to map out everything and see, okay, where shall I go, and how can I make it work?
okay, that's great. To our audience, you've heard Irinde say, if anyone thinks they can collab with him or support any of these projects, feel free to reach out to him, go out to his website or go to his Instagram, and have a chat. I'm sure you're open to that, Irinde, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure. If I'm looking for now, if I'm looking for models, I'll put the word out. You understand? But for now, I'm not working on the project that requires that. I just want to take it one step at a time because if I'm done with the scripts, then I can start looking for the models that will play the roles. But for now, I'm working on the one without the models. So just step by step.
Okay, Irinde. I think this has been a great session. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I have shared a link to the PICHA community events. That's where we share a lot of these kinds of conversations, these kinds of events. We have virtual events like this one that you just attended. We have some in-person events coming up. All will be shared on that same link. So please be sure to click that so that you can follow and see what we're up to. We're also very pro collaboration. So if you have any ideas that you'd like to see come to life, event wise, we also have a link on that same landing page at the bottom that allows you to share your idea with us, and then we can see if that's something we can bring to life. Ayorinde, thank you so much for this session. It's been great chatting with you. It's always nice connecting, brother. And all the best with the projects. I know you said no pressure, but I'll be checking on you to make sure those films
Yeah.
to hold you accountable.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. It was nice hearing the comments from the seeing the comments from everyone. I'm grateful for the comments and the words that are written. It's one of the reasons why we do what we do. It really warms my heart when I see people talk about my work in such manner. I'm really grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. And guys, when you have a chance, go check out PICHA. Um, we have a lot of things going on. We also have the Weaving Stories grant. Like to appreciate you all for joining. Have a good day.